Hello everyone, welcome to another video. And in this one, we are going to discuss chapter number 13 from the book Psychology of Money, written by Morgan Housel. And the name of this chapter is Room for Error, or you could also call it Margin of Safety. Uh, and we're going to start off with an example of blackjack. There are a few people who play blackjack and they also practice something called card counting. And how card counting basically works is you basically have an idea about the odds of a card being drawn out if you have been counting which cards have already been drawn. So what that basically does is you bet a little bit more if you see that the odds of a particular card being drawn out are higher. And even if you go with this strategy, then if you look at it, the players are still playing by the odds. It is still not a certainty that a particular card will be drawn out, basically. And uh, and so the point is that there is never a moment where you can be 100% sure and put all of your money on a specific on a specific chip, because there is a possibility that you might end up losing all the money. So the players who practice card counting know this, and this is where the lesson actually comes from. That even if you have the odds on your side, there is still a possibility that things might not play out the way that you want them to do. And the reason is that they are odds, they are not basically certainties. And the blackjack players know that, and they play in a way that even if something doesn't go their way, even if their call is not what they were expecting, the results of the call that they were not expecting, they still have enough money left that they can play again. So if we look at history, history is basically littered with a lot of good ideas that have been taken too far. So the wisdom is in the fact to acknowledge that there are a lot of uncertainties in life. There are a lot of unknowns. There is a lot of randomness and chance in this life. So the only way to deal with those uncertainties or those chances or the unknowns is basically to increase the gap between what you think is going to happen and what will actually happen. And if you do that, then you're basically giving yourself enough chance to fight another day. Benjamin Graham is known for his extensive work on margin of safety. So he wrote a lot of books about that. He also had some mathematical models about the margin of safety as well. But in one of the interviews, someone asked him what he actually thinks about the margin of safety. And he said the only purpose of the margin of safety is to basically render the forecast unnecessary. And what that means is that no matter what kind of forecast people give you, there should always be a room for error or a margin of safety in your calculations. And this is a very powerful statement, actually. So, the way we can actually define it, the way we can define margin of safety is basically the room of error or redundancy. And it is the only effective way to basically navigate a world that is governed by odds rather than certainty. So, Benjamin Graham's suggestion of margin of safety is basically a suggestion that tells us to not view the world in black and white. By black and white, I mean we shouldn't see the world as predictable, or and also we shouldn't see the world as completely unpredictable as well. But rather we should focus on the gray area. And within this gray area, there is a range of possibilities that can actually happen. But the reality is that people actually underestimate the power of room for error. What we do see is stock analysts giving their clients like a price target rather than a price range. And economists, forecasters, they actually predict the precise figures rather than the broad possibilities. And the reason behind that is basically people would listen to someone who is absolutely sure about the future rather than listen to someone who is not really sure or is just giving out probabilities about what's going to happen in the future. There are basically two things which make us avoid room for error. The first thing is we like to believe there is someone who knows the future. And the second thing is, which actually avoids us from believing in room for error, is that if there is no one who knows about the future, then there is a possibility that we might not be able to 100% exploit that opportunity. And that's the very reason that we basically don't consider the room for error. So the room for error actually gives us the endurance to handle the different possible outcomes actually. And if we have the endurance to deal with unforeseen outcomes, then what happens is then we can stick around long enough until things actually turn into our favor. And that's the major benefit of having room for error. So people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett actually understood the importance of room for error. So Bill Gates once actually said that he has enough money in the bank account that he would be able to pay a year's worth of salary of the employees of Microsoft, even if they don't get any new payments coming in. And Warren Buffett also kind of like pledged to his employees in Berkshire Hathaway that he has actually made sure that they would have always ample cash in the bank for the company. And he would never even trade one night of peaceful sleep for extra profits.